Hi, I'm Maria Lloyd with Financial Juneteenth University, and today I'm speaking with John Paul. As you guys know, John Paul is one half of the Africa business consultants that I speak with weekly. He and Dr. Harnett always come on and give us some really thorough information. He's also the co-author of 101 Ways to Make Money in Africa, which is a book that I've read. I've learned a wealth of information from the book. So if you guys want to learn more about them, of course, we're going to put the link underneath. So Dr. Harnett couldn't join us today, but John Paul is here, and he's going to discuss different business models and frameworks that you can use to launch your business in Africa. So, John Paul, how are you?
I'm very well, and it's always a pleasure to share this moment with you. Once every week to share our knowledge and experience and everything we can offer to the wild world. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much, and of course the feelings are mutual. So let's jump right into it. So what are some different business models that people can use when they're doing business in Africa? I know that you said that there are some models that have a proven track record of being successful. So what are those business models?
Okay, I have quite a number of them, but just to pack the ones that I can into this time frame, I think I have 3 or 4 I have to share. And just like you said, these are models and concepts that keep on repeating themselves. People start great businesses in Africa, and then it looks like the next best thing. But I noticed that there is a common thread. There is something they have in common, and we've been able to digest them into certain frameworks that anybody in any country around the world can apply to, themselves and actually generate business ideas that work. Of course, the most basic, which is the number one framework that we've seen, is businesses that solve problems. That's like the most basic form. Most businesses exist to solve a problem. A taxi solves the problem of transportation. The telecom service provider is providing you with communication, and if there was no phone, maybe you would have written a letter, you would have personally gone there, which is what people used to do in the past. But right now you pick up your phone and then you make the call. So these are basically, problems that people have, and then there are businesses that are coming up to solve them. So this is very broad, and it actually has no limits. So when you say problems, one major problem we have in Africa right now is power. Right now as I'm speaking to you, you can't hear the noise because I've had to close down the windows, shut the doors, so you can't hear the sound of the power generator. Yeah, but right now there isn't any power, so I have to, provide that power. So it's a problem. But many people are actually complaining. They are blaming the government. They are blaming Africans. They are cursing the continent and stuff like that. Now, that's what 98% of people are doing. There's also 2% of people who are actually saying, what if we could provide cheap, affordable, clean power to Africans? Wouldn't they like that? If you give me that, I'm going to pay for it.
Right.
So for example, you have some guy in Tanzania, Patrick Ngongwi, who has built a multi-million-dollar business from solar power. What does he do? There are people in the rural areas who are not even connected to the grid at all. So 15 years from now, there's still no hope that they will get power. So what he's doing is, or how he started is, he started importing solar panels from China, and he was installing, those small units for these homes. And then at night, the capabilities of these systems are amazing. Their children can have light to read extra into the night. They now have power to charge their phones. These were things that were almost impossible. Some people had to trek 2 kilometers in those rural areas. That's about 3 miles to go charge their phones. And some people had to come back the next day to pick up the phones because they need to charge them overnight.
Wow.
These things are unimaginable in the developed world, but these are real problems that real people are facing over here. So the young man has created a model that works. Now, you see a multi-million dollar business, but it's actually built on providing solutions to a fundamental problem.
Right.
You see, so that's just electricity. I could go ahead with water, sanitation, waste recycling. All of these things I'm mentioning already have people on the ground who are doing stuff. There's a lady, Bilkis, she was I think she was educated at Yale and she worked at IBM in the US for 5 years. She, left all of that to come back to Lagos here. What does she do here? She's helping with the whole waste problem. Lagos alone produces almost, I think tons of waste every day. And a lot of that goes into the drains and, blocks everywhere. Everybody's cursing plastic, Plastic is a problem. And this young lady is collecting all the plastic, and then she's recycling it into some kind of material that she's exporting. I understand that those that are recycled plastic is used in the production of jeans that a lot of people wear, carpets, blankets. It can actually be, reused to make, more other plastics that go back into the supply chain and stuff like that. But it's an ugly problem, and she's providing a very smart solution to it. So it's very simple. If you can find solutions to problems, people will pay you for your solution.
Right.
And in Africa, we have much more problems than even the whole world combined. So people can sit and say, that continent has a lot of problems. I don't know what's wrong with them. Some other people are flocking down here to solve our problems,
right,
and we are happily paying some money. If you would give me a solution to this problem, the generator that's running right now is very noisy. It's harming the environment because of the gases it's producing, and it's costing me money to buy fuel. And fuel right now is expensive and it's scarce. But if you can give me a solution that gets rid of all those other problems, I will gladly pay you to solve that problem.
Right.
So that is concept. And in fact, this is the most popular concept that's actually working right now in Africa. The second concept I want to touch is trends, changes and trends. Sometimes people tell you they don't like changes. Change is a bad thing, or, change changes stuff. That's why some people are not comfortable with it. But things are changing here, and there are smart entrepreneurs who are, leveraging on that change to create multi-million-dollar businesses. One interesting trend that's coming on right now is mobile phones, the internet, Africa. Africa has one of the fastest growing internet penetration markets in the world, maybe second to Asia. The mobile phones are now almost everywhere. Even people who don't have lights, who don't have power, have mobile phones, And what that has done now is the hunger for information, and an interesting trend like online shopping. Online shopping has exploded here. Nobody wants to go through heavy traffic to go into the open market and sweat and buy stuff.
Right.
If you can deliver to my doorstep, I am happy to pay for that convenience. And it's a trend that's coming up because in the very busy cities, people don't have time anymore, But if I can shop from my phone or from my laptop or from my iPad, that makes sense. So
right,
a company like Jumia, for example, Jumia only started 2 to 3 years ago, started in Nigeria. I think it's in a couple of other African countries. 2 months ago, I read on Forbes that Jumia is now valued at over $500 million. How does that happen in 3 years? Now, I can explain how that happens. You have a market that has taken a leap. There's a change that has gone on. There's a trend.
right,
Most Africans, at least more than 60% of Africans are below 30 to 35 years old. These are young people. A lot of them are technology savvy. Most of them have smartphones, not even mobile phones. So what else are you waiting for? Online shopping, it's there. Jumia is taking the lead. A couple of other people are rushing to the scene. Some other people are being very creative. Some sell maybe, for example, they sell only cakes, or they sell only jeans, or they focus on baby clothing, those kind of niche markets. And there are still a lot of niche markets that are not being served right now.
right,
But what is common is that the infrastructure for that to happen is already there. The trend is there that people are now open to shopping online. It's not a novelty anymore. People are open to it.
right.
So that's an interesting thing. So if you can closely monitor trends and changes in Africa, you can actually leverage them to build businesses that make a whole lot of sense. The other model I want us to look at is, to me, is one of the most interesting models, and I think I will stop with 3 for now, so I don't give away everything in the book.
No, right?
What the book does is, using all these frameworks, we develop specific ideas you can work with to start a business. But even even if we've written 101 ways to make money in Africa, there are actually 1,001 ways to make money in Africa if you can apply these models. So that's how I wouldn't be out. I think I'll just stop at number 3. And number 3 is, you won't believe it, it's the simplest thing you would ever think of. China grew its economy on this, and I'm not joking. It's called copy. It's called copy. No need to reinvent the wheel. If you see a wheel that's already working, just copy the wheel. Make it cheaper, faster, cleaner, better, something, Back in the days, the Chinese would buy equipment, machines from Europe, from Germany, and then tear them up to pieces, and then build them back up, and then build them in their own way. So they build a similar product. And now, when I say copy, I'm not talking about the illegal type of guy. I'm not saying if you infringe somebody's patent or copyright or something. I'm talking about smart copy. There's still room. So you see somebody who is doing stuff that is working, and then you just replicate it. Now, the interesting thing here is most of the people who will be watching this video live in a part of the world where there are many things they take for granted, but those things are still lacking here in Africa. So, for example, before the ATMs came to Africa, they were already in the West for 20 years plus. The ATM were already in the US since the 1980s, but they only came into Africa from 2000, from the year 2000 and 2001.
Wow.
Somebody saw that. Somebody said, why are you spending money paying bank tellers when you can have a machine that can actually do this job? So if you're in the US right now, or you're in Europe, or you're in Asia, and you notice something, a convenience, something that solves a simple problem, it could be anything. For example, I've seen biscuits that are popular in Asia, and then somebody brought them here, and then the market just took it up, and then they set up a franchise here. So it could be a product, it could be a food product, it could be a machine, it could be a service, it could be anything. Anything you see that is working well where you are, and then you notice it's not yet in Africa, that might just be an opportunity. You just copy that product. If you can apply for a franchise, if you can build a similar product, if you can copy that service and replicate it here, it makes a whole lot of sense. And there are a lot of people who are already doing that. So, just like I said, these are just the simple frameworks we've seen. There's more, but like I said, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, you got to get the book for the other ones. Yeah,
just to recap, the first is find solutions to problems, serious problems that exist in Africa, and find solutions that are affordable and can, provide significant value. Africans are willing to pay for them, including the poor ones. The second option I talked about, the second framework, is looking at trends, monitoring trends very closely. The way trends shift in Africa sometimes provide opportunities for entrepreneurs, smart entrepreneurs, to come in, set up businesses that will exploit those trends and make money. The third framework that I just spoke about is to copy. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Africa lacks a lot of things that are taken for granted in the West and in the developed world. If you are open to that, you can just copy a product, service, whatever it is, and replicate it here, and the sky will be your limit. And in the book, we have a series of success stories that cover each of these things. In fact, interestingly, most of the success stories that are in the book, I just noticed now, most of them used to live in the West, in the UK or the US. Maybe they were born there, or they left Africa and went to school and then came back. But it's obvious they saw something other people were not seeing around them.
Right.
They know where they were coming from. They say, okay, we're lacking this back home. What if I could take this and then go do it back home? And a lot of them are doing it, and they become hugely successful as a result. So even if you're not enticed by specific business ideas, by working within these frameworks I've just shared with you, you could just come up with lots and lots and lots of ideas.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that, John Paul. That was some really interesting information. And if you guys, you just heard him. I mean, he just laid out 3 really good business concepts, frameworks, etc. If you're interested, if you have a business in mind and you would like to push it over to African nations, you can actually speak with John Paul and Dr. Harnett. They will consult you. They'll listen to your business plan. They'll give you some input, some advice, and even possibly connect you with some sources on the ground to get you started. So that is definitely something that is available to you. Again, if you just visit the link that's either in this video or underneath the video in the description, you'll see that there is a consultation package that comes along with the book if you decide to get the book. And I think you should, because again, I've read the book. I'm not being biased here just because I'm a huge fan of Dr. Harnett and John Paul, but the book is excellent. It's a great read. I breezed through it in, a matter of maybe a month or so, which is really good for me. And yeah, it was wonderful. So again, John Paul, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this really good information. And I'm hopeful. I know that you guys have already started speaking to some of the Financial Juneteenth community members who have reached out and had their consultation. So hopefully those of you who are watching now, if you have not already purchased the book or you have not spoken with John Paul and Dr. Harnett, I'm hoping that this is just one of many examples or affirmations for you to go ahead and do that. So John Paul, again, thank you so much for your time. It's always great to hear from you and get this valuable information.
You're welcome. Always welcome. And I'm glad to always add value to the Financial Juneteenth community.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who are watching or listening or reading, we want to thank you as well for tuning in and listening to the information. And please share it. Share it with your family and friends. Share it with anyone that you think could possibly be a business partner for you. So please share this information. Again, thank you so much for staying tuned. And we're out.